In September 2017, we launched the Stitch in Time campaign to restore and redevelop the costume workshop. It has been a long and exciting journey, and we're delighted that the new workshop is now complete. After limited delays on site due to the COVID-19 pandemic, construction was completed in September 2020. The costume team began moving back into the spaces shortly after. The costume workshop sits opposite the Royal Shakespeare and Swan Theatres on the site of the 1887 Memorial Theatre scene dock. The original scene dock doors of the building have been beautifully restored and will be the main entrance into the costume workshop and the RSC staff offices. The new building provides our award-winning costume department with the best facilities for costume making, with an enormous amount of space, updated equipment and natural light, whilst retaining the character of the original Grade 2 listed heritage buildings. As you enter through the reception, you'll see the hub, a flexible working space for the team which will be used for events, talks and demonstrations. Outside the hub, you can see our new lift, the first the team have had to help them transfer fabrics and heavy items around the building. On the ground floor, we have the new workrooms for costume props, footwear and armoury, millinery and jewellery, and the dye and textile studios. We've invested in new equipment for the teams, including new sewing machines, purpose-built workbenches, and clever storage solutions. The large windows in these workrooms brighten the spaces and link the studios together, uniting the costume teams in a way they haven't been before. The new layout means they no longer need to work between floors to use the dye vats and spray rooms like they did in the old workshop. On the first floor we have the men's and women's costume studios. Both rooms have large windows that flood the workrooms with natural light. The costume team will be able to see the theatre where their costumes will be shown and the RSC offices on the other side, putting costume making at the heart of what we do in Stratford-upon-Avon. We also have the costume office and the head of costumes office on this floor. This is where the costume supervisors and the team that oversees all the costumes are based. It's also where our costume designers will work when making design decisions for the productions. The first floor also houses the new fitting rooms and materials storeroom, next to which you can see the brickwork of the original workshop. It's a lovely example of how we've been able to incorporate the old building in with the new. Another area where we have managed to retain aspects of the original building is across the hall in the costume stockroom. This is where we keep our stock fabrics, swatches and samples. In here, we've managed to retain the original fireplace that used to live in the old dye room. On the top floor, we house our armour and shoe storage. Here at the RSC, we have around 3,000 pairs of boots and shoes, which we constantly reuse, so sufficient storage facilities were vital to have in the new building. The costume workshop is home to many specialist skills and crafts, including men's and women's costume making, millinery and jewellery, dyeing and costume painting, and costume props and footwear. The new spaces are now fit to provide training and apprenticeship opportunities to retain these vital costume making skills and welcome the next generation of costume makers to Stratford-upon-Avon.
One of the things we are looking forward to doing is to allow the public to come in and see these spaces. We could never do that in the old workshops, they weren't fit for that. But now we have the space, we have tours planned, people will get a glimpse of what goes on in these rooms, they'll see some things that they wouldn't have seen otherwise, and I think that will just round up a really great story for their experience at the RSC.
The tours will show audiences around the restored building and through new created spaces, including the courtyard garden. We're excited to bring visitors into these spaces and hope to be offering guided tours in 2022. We would like to thank everyone who supported the Stitch in Time campaign. Gifts from 30,000 people trusts and foundations, grant makers and corporate supporters around the world made the project possible. Special thanks to Arts Council England, Coventry and Warwickshire Local Enterprise Partnership, National Lottery Heritage Fund, and again to all our supporters who made the project possible and have secured the future of costume making in Stratford-upon-Avon.
To have so many thousands of people generously giving their money to help this happen, it's amazing. I'm so grateful and so thank you to everybody who so generously donated to the campaign. We couldn't have done it without them.
Thank you. And we look forward to welcoming you into this wonderful space next year.